Yeah. Till last session, we have seen what was Mule ASP and what is an software and how we are going to use the Mule ESP as a platform to connect the multiple applications. And we have seen what are the tools that we are going to use as part of the development and testing for Mulesoft, like Anypoint Studio and Postman. So today we will discuss about the Mulesoft event architecture and made flows by building a sample application. So for example, uh, Mule event is nothing but an so whatever the activity that is going to be performed on the end user, so we will consider it as an event. That means if any record is added, if any updation means if there is a change on the existing record, then we will call it as an update. And if there is any such kind of activity is going to be happen on the application or any software, then we are going to treat it as an event within the Mule. So Mule is mainly a event-driven architecture, and every event constraints of Mule message and variables. So uh, to epic that as a diagram, so in Mule SP we'll have the Mule event and Mule event constraints of Mule message. So Mule message payload. So this is the Mule ASP event architecture. Like here we will have the Mule message. Mule message is consisting of payload, attributes, and attachments. And in the sample API or program, we will see how to access these parameters and payload. So to build an application, we are going to install the Anypoint Studio, and by using Anypoint Studio, we need to build the application. So we are going to start the Anypoint Studio. Give me a minute. Okay. This is a Anypoint Studio, and we will discuss about the different panes that we have in Anypoint Studio. On the left side, so we have Package Explorer, and we can even open the Project Explorer as well. So here we can see all the applications or APIs that we are going to implement. And there is a canvas in the middle. Here we can see the flows and the global configuration elements. And here we have the Mule palette properties we can edit and the console. Once we deploy the application, here we can see the logs and the deployment status. On the right side, we have the Mule palette where we can see the components and the connectors available in the Mulesoft. And there is an outline. Here we can see the different flows available within the XML in the Mule application. And we can see that in detail once we start the application development. So first we are going to create a new project. Give the name Hello World. If we have multiple runtime versions, here we can see and we can select accordingly. And here, this is the API implementation that we can see later. So I'm going to save the API in the default location. So click on finish. So this is the package explorer. We have just created a Hello World application, and we can see the different folder structure. So there is an XML file. So this is our source main here. So in this source main folder, we will see XML files where we are going to design our flows and create the connector configurations and all. And in source main resources, we will add the needed resource files like ML files and any common application modules or function modules that are needed. And in Mule Output version, we can see the minimum Mule version. And if we wanted to have any additional properties that needs to be saved. So those information and details we will add in the Mule objects. And one more important file that available in the, that we are going to commonly use is the form.xml. Form.xml is project object model, and within this we will have all the project information like group ID, artifact ID, version. So this is nothing but the application that we have created, artifact ID, and the group ID is like organization name. So as of now, we have just given a com.my company so that whenever we deploy our application, it is going to generate the jar file based on this information. So if anybody wanted to reuse the application, then they have to install this dependency. And this is the application name, Helloworld. And within the form.xml, we can see multiple dependencies. So this dependencies is like reusing the existing application details or connector details. So if we wanted to add any module, so that we can directly add the dependencies, or if we add them using the GUI, like from Mule palette to the flow, then those information will be added to the form.xml. And this one, hello world. So here we can see, so this is nothing but the Mule canvas. In Mule canvas,
the last statement, can you come again? The last statement that you have given, the form.xml. Form.xml. So if you need to add this some other, we can add it here, like you are saying, right? By copying.
Yeah, so there is a dependency section. In dependency section, we can add the other modules or other dependencies. For example, if we wanted to add any other connector, like a database connector, so we can add the updated version details here. So that connector information will be available, like the sockets and HTTP we have here. So it will add one more module for database.
So I think we can add the dependencies also. Right? I mean, for example, if in the scatter gather also, we can add dependencies also here directly. Right?
Yeah. Oh, sorry, come on.
I mean, we can add the components also. Right? Components are connected. Anything it may
Yeah.
be, we can add
So mostly whatever the components or modules that we are going to add by using the GUI, like I see. For example, here we can search for the database. So here we have HTTP and socket string. So likewise, we can add the modules. So here if we add the module database, okay. So whenever we are going to add the database module in this Mule palette for this project, so it is going to add a dependency within the form.xml.
Okay.
So this is just an example, and we can do this in vice versa as well. I mean to say, we can add a
If you can add
dependency
here,
here,
so we can use
and that is going to reflect in the modules.
In the Mule flow. Okay.
Yes. And mostly, if there is a connector or module available for the Mulesoft, then it will reflect in the modules. Sometimes what will happen, there might be some other dependencies that are needed. So that information like JDBC connector information, we can just add them within the dependencies module, but it won't be having any connector or module within the Mule. So that information we can just add it here, and we can make use within the flow, but not as a module.
Okay.
So that we will see later. So now all I wanted to say is that this is the package explorer and this is the Mule canvas. And right side we can see Mule palette, and we can add the multiple modules and the operations that are needed for the flow.
Mhm.
So for example, we are going to build a simple flow. So we can search for the flow in the Mule palette, click on it, and drag and drop onto the Mule canvas. So within the Mule canvas, whenever we have this flow, so it is going to create a flow, and it will have a source, process, and the error handling. And we need to add a source because we wanted to execute this flow from external source. So for that purpose, we are going to add a HTTP listener. For HTTP listener, we need to provide the connector configuration information. Click on plus icon. Here we can give any name. And here we need to provide the information like the protocol HTTP or HTTPS and the host name. So we can say local host or all interfaces. So preferably we will go with the all interfaces because whenever we are going to deploy this application into the server, so instead of changing this information, we can access on any server or local host information. And this port is nothing but a like a default port or for example we have google.com. So google.com is a DNS name, and for this DNS name there will be IP address attached to it, and one more port information is needed like the default HTTPS and HTTPS application will run a default 443 port. Even though if we are not providing, then it will allow. And for default HTTP protocol, the port will be 80. And for now, we are going to deploy our application on the local environment and the port 808. So that means what we are going to do, we are providing the information 00. That means it can be a local host and the protocol is HTTP. HTTP localhost and the port 808. So this is the connector information. Click on OK. And one more thing we have to add is the path. Path is nothing but a resource for the flow. So for example, here we are going to access the API by using the hello resource. So whenever we provide the path as hello, we need to add them in the URL. So we will discuss about the URL and URL, everything in detail. And this is the connector configuration. And here we can even mention the connector like hello, so that people will easily identify whoever is going to look at the application. And now we are going to add a logger. So logger is kind of a debugging and tracking information that is usable whenever we are going to uh, deploy our applications into the server, and if there are any issues then we can easily identify and fix the issues, or even it is useful for tracking the event. So for example we can mention the start date. So just we are mentioning the started flow name, and we can mention here started flow, and one more logger, just to make sure that we are printing the end of the flow, like completed flow. Flow dot name. And we are going to add one set payload. Set payload is a component in Mulesoft where we can set the payload irrespective of the action that happened earlier. So whenever we set this payload, everything will be overwritten. In the uh, like whatever we have got in the previous steps. So here we can say so we are going to print a simple message, hello world mail application. So all we have within this uh, flow is a flow which is having a source and a different message processor. So all of these components we will call it as message processor. So every component is a message processor. So this loggers is going to print a message in the console, which is not going to be returned to the end user. And this set payload component, we are going to set a simple message, hello world mail application, and this message will be returned to the end user, whoever is going to consume this service. And this is a completed flow message will be written onto the console or the logs. Now we are going to save this. So click on save or right click on the canvas, run project. So in console, we can see the application hello world is deployed. And to test this, we are going to use the postman. So the application is deployed on HTTP protocol, and the server name is localhost 48081, and the resource name is hello. We click on the send, and Here, this is the Postman tool, and we have the methods associated for a request. We can mention any of the method that is relevant, which is relevant. And here we need to provide the URL information like protocol, host name or DNS name, and the port number and the resource name. So it is like protocol, host name or IP address, port number, path or resource. So this is how URL is going to be built. Okay. And so this is the parameter section, authorization, headers, body, and all of this information we will see in the later sessions. And if we observe the response, we have a hello world Mule application, string response, and the status code 200. So by default, whenever we receive a success response, then it will be returned with a 200 status codes. It can be 200 or 201 and 204. So these kind of response status codes we will receive. And this is the simple text message. Here we can see the text method. And we will observe the logs within the Mule application. We have written two logs. One is started and the completed log. And this information is written onto the logs or console, logs of the console. And if there is any error in the Mule flow, then that error information will be written onto the console as well. So, any doubts still here?
In Anypoint Studio, why to add message process? We send the message in proper as, but why to add as?
As I didn't get you.
Is as square bracket flow dot name square bracket. Why to
This
mention as? Yes. This also set payload.
Where is as? So this is nothing but a data view expression, Mule expression language to access the flow name. So here we have defined the flow name like hello world flow. But to access that flow name within the Mule message process, we need to use this expression like flow.name within this hashtag square brackets.
And same set payload.
And set payload, we have just written the string message. So if we see this fx means it is a functional mode to write the Mule expression language. So we can use both ways, like we can use a literal mode to enter the string message to work. So We can save the application. So once we make changes and save, it is going to redeploy automatically. That information will be set by using the project menu build automatically.